What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Tuesday, November 7th, 2017. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the busiest lady in the business, Andrea Renee.
What's good, Greg?
Not much. What's good with you?
You know, some sad news this morning.
Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, as we wrapped up Kinda Funny morning show. Telltale's laid off a whole bunch of people. So let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. It's somber today. I like that you're doing a somber beat. I'm doing the somber thing there. Yeah, Roper Report has 5 items on it today.
It's technically 6 now.
6. I thought that got updated. My apologies.
No, I just updated it.
Because this is how fast it's happening.
Exactly.
You know more than me, Andrea. What's going on?
So, press release was sent out by Telltale Games, indicating that they have let go of some of their workforce. So, over at GameInformer, they summed it up saying, Telltale has announced today that the developer is suffering layoffs and an overall reduction of 25% of the company, around 90 employees. So, their official statement says the decision is designed to make the company a leader in player-driven narrative games, more competitive as a developer and publisher of groundbreaking story-driven gaming experiences with an emphasis on high quality in the years ahead. These changes are not expected to impact the release of any of the company's previously announced projects. So the story on GameInformer continues to say the developer was best known for their narrative-driven adventure games like Batman, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Tales from the Borderlands. Obviously, if you watch this show, you know that we talk about Telltale games all the time. And they have been growing steadily over the last few years by getting big licensed games. Just in September, they named Pete Hawley from Zynga as the new CEO, laying the groundwork for restructuring. So clearly, this is probably, you know, the fallout from them bringing on a new CEO, him taking a look at the business and saying, listen, we got to cut the fat somewhere. Clearly, we're having some issues with overall profitability, and that's what CEOs do. They come in and they look at how the business is running and look at all of the different essential functions and say, like, where can we optimize? Where can we make efficiencies where they weren't any? And Telltale is a relatively big studio, which I'm sure a lot of people aren't aware. Just on LinkedIn, there are 386 employees under the Telltale banner, which is quite a number.
A lot, yeah.
Considering the type and style of games that Telltale games are known for. I mean, these aren't massive, giant open world games with a lot of art assets or a lot of external or extensive coding and programming and production that's happening behind the scenes like we see with a lot of other larger studios. So that's quite a massive workforce. So really, while it's really obviously disappointing and sad to see this happen, we never like to hear about people losing their jobs, especially right before the holidays. I'm not surprised by this announcement at all.
No, I mean, I think honestly, in a lot of ways, it's long overdue. Not the layoffs, but the restructuring and the idea, right? I mean, Hawley's quote here, right, that you have from GameInformer is, our industry has shifted in tremendous ways over the past few years. The realities of the environment we face moving forward demand we evolve as well, reorienting our organization with a focus on delivering fewer, better games with a smaller team. Then it's Telltale also hopes to use this restructuring to focus on the technology of their games, an issue that's been plaguing their games for several years now. I feel like we've talked about Telltale recently on Kinda Funny Games Daily, and that's what it comes back to, is the fact that this studio hit it big. You know what I mean? Like, Telltale was a small studio, and I remember seeing Sam and Max at Comic-Con on a card table, and then they got The Walking Dead and they got Wolf Among Us, and then every franchise suddenly wanted to work with them because they were the hot ticket, and that was great for them in terms of growth, money, and all these different things, but not in terms of technology, because when you're making game after game after game and different teams are going from pre-production to production to post-production and then onto the next title and onto the next title, at what point do you pump the brakes and rebuild your engine from scratch or really fix the problems you've had?
Absolutely. And while it's, you know, going to be really difficult for the people who have been let go of their jobs, I have been part of a layoff before. It sucks, especially the first day. The first week is really pretty terrible. You know, I have seen the outpouring of other developers in the industry putting up links saying, we're hiring on our team, please come apply, which is always so amazing to see the camaraderie of this industry really come forward in moments like this to say, hey, like, this sucks for you right now, but hopefully you'll find, you know, a new place on another team soon. What it means for Telltale going forward, I think is good. I think this is the statement that the CEO made today is going to be good for fans, and hopefully it's going to be good for their team. You know, you always want to take a look at how is company morale doing internally. Now, obviously, we would need to talk to people at Telltale to ask them, you know, did you see this coming? Did you anticipate this? Because a lot of times, most people at companies that are part of a layoff did see it coming.
100%.
Sometimes it comes out of the blue, and it's, you know, it's even more difficult. But I mean, sometimes also though the writing is on the wall, and I think you were right in saying that this is probably the case with Telltale.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, I've talked to a lot of former Telltale people, and I don't mean former as of today. I mean former as of whatever, because of course they're up in San Rafael. They're very local to San Francisco. You know people there, and the people who have left have talked about morale being bad. And I think when the new CEO was instituted, that was the first sign of, all right, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, because I know it wasn't a great place for some people to work. Obviously, other people have great times, and everybody's experience is different. But even with, I always go back to, we saw them lose a whole bunch of leadership when it was Nick and Pierre, and somebody else who I always forget when I bring up this example left and went to Ubisoft. And I remember that being a big deal, that like, hey, Ubisoft just picked up these 3 people. It got like a press release on its own from Ubi, I think, of, hey, we just picked up all these people from Telltale. And that's not like to say they hated Telltale, because I don't know what their opinions were on it, but it is like, that's a red flag when people who are there and are making like your premier games, like, I'm going to jump in a group to something else. I'm going to go do something there. And then just to hear from other people who have been there over time and how leadership was, there was always problems, and it seems like power struggles. And you hope that, yeah, coming in here and letting everybody focus and letting games breathe works out. But then it sucks, of course, for the 90 people who just lost their job today, which include personal friends of mine. Woody, we were just talking, it was in the Kind of Funny morning show. Everybody knows Woody. He lost his job today too. He was working over there on a game. And so that sucks for everybody. But as you pointed out, and as we talked a bit about yesterday on Kind of Funny Games Daily, right? Because there was a kid, I don't know if you heard it, right?
I did,
the
yes.
guy wrote in and was like, hey, there's all these layoffs. Is this a bad sign for the industry? And it was like, no, it's actually still better than it used to be, where it seemed like there was layoffs every fucking month after you shipped a game or whatever.
It's just part of the cyclical nature of the game dev business. When you take a look at the amount of studios that have the fortunate opportunity to keep their team at the same operating levels, even between releases, it's very few and far between. You know, most of these studios have to go through cyclical hires because they need to bring on people when they're about to launch, and then they need to scale back after they ship, right? That's just a nature of the creative business. I mean, you see that in the film and TV business all the time too.
Right. And this is another, I think, to look at Telltale laying these people off today, and as much as it sucks, and this is always the struggle between the art and the business and people who make your games, this is a direct result of everything we as the fans and audiences have been saying for years, right? Of like, your engine sucks, fix it. You're making too many games, they're forgettable. Guardians of the Galaxy is wrapping up, and it's like, whatever. Like, I dropped off after episode 1. I couldn't even motivate myself to play episode 2. So if that means that, yeah, you know, like they said in their statement, everything they've announced so far is still around. All they've announced so far, right, was in terms of new things, was Batman season 2, which has started, The Walking Dead, and the next Wolf Among Us season 2. So if that means these games get more resources, more time, and maybe even if they don't, maybe these are the last games that are on the old engine before somebody sits down and really rebuilds it. More power to them. But yeah, sad news today. And also, I think news that shows in the video game industry, right, like, bigger isn't always better. I think that's something you know, so many people do hang their hats on, of like how big the studio is, how many people are working there. And then you get to something like this where it's like they've deviated from what made Telltale special. Now they got to get back to it. If you didn't know, this is Kind of Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about before giving you some perspective, answering your questions, reading bad PSN names, and having a good time with you, the best friends. If you like that, you can watch live on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames as we record it. You can submit questions for the show by going to kindoffunny.com/KFGD. If you are watching live, your job, that's right, I'm giving you a job, is to keep us honest by going to kindoffunny.com/you're-wrong. Correct us anything we screw up fact-wise. No editorializing, just the facts, ma'am. But then we can keep the record straight for everybody listening later on a podcast service or watching later on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. No matter where you get the show, thank you for your support. We love and appreciate you. Housekeeping for you, of course, Extra Life still rolls on. Joey, myself, Portillo, and Jen are all going to Maryland to do another 24-hour Extra Life stream. You can catch it Saturday morning on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. It's the Irrational Passion stream. We're going out there to screw with Alex O'Neill. And then also out in Maryland, more news breaking from there. The next NoClip, or I should say, maybe not even the next. Danny's out doing a NoClip right now about Guerilla and their move from Killzone to Horizon, and that's awesome.
I'm really excited to watch that one.
Yeah, it'll be the first time I've ever watched a NoClip.
What?
I'm kidding. I don't even know who Danny is. No, I'm kidding. Let's get back to the Roper Report. Number 2, we have, finally, information on PlayStation Experience 2017 via the PlayStation blog. I'm going to jump into it where Sid Schumann is writing. He says, first a question. Are you currently holding an early bird ticket for PlayStation Experience? Good. That means you'll be granted access to an exclusive presentation at the Anaheim Convention Center the evening of Friday, December 8th, starting at 8 p.m. Pacific Time. In this opening presentation, PlayStation Worldwide Studios Chairman Sean Layden, and I haven't heard that new title in quite some time. That's a mouthful, but it sounds good. Sean Layden will provide an update to attendees. We'll meet some special guests along with a few surprises and game updates. Should be fun. Then, on December 9th and 10th, PlayStation Experience will open to general ticket holders starting at 10 a.m. And this year's experience is shaping up to be truly unique. In addition, we'll be featuring a new slate of panels that reveal more developer insights into some of the biggest announcements coming out of Paris Games Week and beyond. We're still finalizing the full list of participating developers, but you can count on some of Worldwide Studios' biggest and brightest making an appearance, including Sucker Punch Productions, Media Molecule, and more. So right there, cool. Sucker Punch, Media Molecule. But they put this up and the comments are all like, wait a second, what's the Friday? Is Friday's thing the press conference? Is there no keynote? Somebody said, so there's no keynote? Sid responds, on Friday night, we'll have a special presentation with opening remarks, special guests, and game updates to talk about. We're not calling it a showcase, given that we're coming a few weeks off of Paris Games Week, but we'll have some cool content to share. People not happy.
I'm not surprised people aren't happy. It's tough because being in the United States and being American PlayStation fans, we are lucky enough to be here where the PlayStation experience happens.
Yeah.
So of course we get selfish and say we want all of the announcements to be here. But there are millions of PlayStation fans in Europe who were probably very happy and excited that Paris Games Week had such a big showing and had a bunch of announcements in their backyard,
sure.
Right? So from like an actual like optics perspective, when you look about marketing, I think it makes sense for them to do different kinds of announcements. It certainly doesn't make sense for them to do 2 full-size press showcases this close to each other.
Sure.
Now, the confusing part is why they're doing both at all. I feel like they really should have picked one or the other. But if you pick one or the other, you kind of have to pick PSX because you've now sent or you've started the tradition of having a media showcase at your fan convention. Whereas Paris Games Week has only had a PlayStation media showcase once before this year.
Yeah.
So really, that would have been, to me, the one to axe, to be like, let's just cut that. But I know that PlayStation cares a lot about its European business. Thus, that's probably why they decided to go forward with Paris Games Week. But I mean, why they wouldn't choose Gamescom earlier in the year to kind of give themselves room to breathe, and that way you can kind of hit both of those camps.
Sure.
I don't know. I mean, to be a fly on the wall in the room where all those decisions were made would be really fascinating. I think it's a little disappointing for people who were expecting something like we've gotten in previous years, but they very clearly are setting up the expectation, which is important. It's good that they're managing the expectations early, that don't expect a bunch of game announcements at this show.
I'm with you to an extent. The problem is this is an expectation that should have been managed right before you sold tickets. That's my only thing.
That's absolutely a fair criticism.
Because I think now, I'm going to bring Whit into the conversation. He wrote into kindoffunny.com/KFGD and says, for the past few weeks, we've been wondering what Sony will be doing at PSX. Will they have a press conference, a showcase? Nothing? Now we finally know in what they describe as a presentation. So far, this has been a nightmare of communication with many people, in the comments at least, confused about what exactly is happening at PSX this year, what their tickets are paying for, and what exactly this presentation is going to be. So my question is this: is PSX becoming that more community-driven event that y'all were talking about? What do you think we'll be getting at this presentation? Did PlayStation make a mistake having a Paris Games Week press conference? Will this diminish the value and hype that surrounds PSX? I think back to the point of bringing it all together, I think that this is the year that they lay out what PSX can also be. For 3 years now, we've seen PSX and you thought you knew PSX. And for me, that's why it was okay when it came together super late every year. Because it seems like every year it comes together at the 11th hour of like, oh, now this is happening. Okay.
They're figuring out their identity.
Exactly. And so, but you knew what you were getting. You knew that you were going to go there Saturday morning and have this press conference and have this thing and roll out and do it that way. And everybody's okay with that. I feel like not that the rug's really been pulled out from under you, because it's disappointing, of course. There's no keynote. There's no big press conference with you, like, because that was the best part of PSX, was being in that crowd and not being E3, where E3 is always that weird. Well, we're journalists. Well, these people over there are fans. Some people are yelling at you. Other are taking notes frantically. This was always like, get in there and it's a fucking rock concert all about PlayStation. Let's go crazy for Geo. That's awesome. And that was such a great way to kick it off. Now that that's not there, that's disappointing. I think and I'm sure you're talking about flying the wall. PlayStation's not dumb. I'm sure they were like, this is gonna, like, we're gonna get raked over the coals for this. This is gonna be a pain in the ass, blah, blah.
I don't know, though.
You don't think so?
I don't know if the people at the top of that chain who made that call really care about the audience the way that the people that are, you know, the way that the devs do, or the way that the community people do, or even the way that the people on Sid's team, you know, get to talk to the community. I don't know how much influence they had in the decision. You know, even like listening to Whit and him writing about it and you talking about that energy, that like palpable feeling in the room. I remember the first PSX media showcase and how like it was just like electric in that audience because people were so hype just because they love the brand. And you lose that at a show like Paris Games Week when there is only media in that audience. And as somebody who went to the one in Paris in 2015, it was so far removed from the actual convention center itself that there weren't like a bunch of fans there. It was literally like press and industry people pretty much. And like, I feel like it's such a little bit of a letdown, particularly for the dev teams who have worked so hard on building these assets that they get to showcase to the world, that they don't get to have their like number one supporters cheering them on and being in the audience and really like having them have that moment.
You lose that. That's a great way. That moment. You lose that centralized moment of, hey, because that was what PSX was. You all come together for that one thing and then disperse to go to your panels, go to your demos, go whatever you want to do. And so even with this Friday night thing that's limited to just the early bird ticket holders, and I don't know how many of those are versus general thing, that's cool. And Sean Layden coming out and addressing him is exactly what you need in terms of, hey, we need that energy, we need that one-on-one thing. But again, that's a smaller group. And again, I think it is, I guess when you bought the early bird tickets, it mentioned that, but I would think that there was a Friday portion of the show. I would still think, though, even if I didn't buy my early bird tickets, I'd be like, well, I know Saturday's going to be the keynote. And so I'm sure there's people like that plan travel, skipping over this Friday
plane
thing.
tickets, hotel accommodations. Yeah, it's, and them making this announcement so close to the event is, you know, like, I didn't even think about like the travel logistics until you just brought it up.
Days you've taken off, things you've done,
it's definitely puzzling.
Right.
And, you know, if you are listening or watching out there and this is going to adversely affect you, we'd love to hear about your story. Obviously, kindafunny.com/KFGD, you can write in and let us know about it. Because as media people, I mean, I think we'd all plan to be there Friday anyway, because the Game Awards are the night before. Right. But for people who are specifically planning just to come into town for PSX, who bought tickets, you know, this could potentially be really upsetting to their plans. And
it does make it interesting of what, you know, we have talked about this, of it, maybe it's just this is the year, it's just more of a community thing. And I think it still is, of like, you lose that centralized thing, but you'll still have the vibe of, hey, we're all hanging out playing games. But for me, it's the interesting thing of, that's a lot of hours now to fill. Whereas, like, you know, I'm going to go to Game Awards and then I'm going to go over down to Anaheim, and I was like, oh, cool. I haven't been to the full PSX in a while because, you know, last year we stayed here, did the reactions, went down on Sunday, did the panel. But now it's like, man, an entire Saturday and Sunday in the Anaheim Convention Center with PlayStation. I'm like, I guess I'm going to try to see everything and meet up with people and obviously do Portillo's meet and greets on Sunday night and hang out and, you know, shake hands and do stuff. But that's still a lot of time. Good for other kids, but I mean, it does just, that one pop. I'm going to miss the pop.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think having it in the evening on a Friday is an interesting call.
Yeah.
I hope that they organize some kind of community event like immediately afterwards. Otherwise, calling people together to like have a couple game updates for like 45 minutes seems like I don't know. We're just gonna have to wait and see how it plays out.
Yeah, interested to see what it all turns out. Just like Jay is. Jay Tone right into kindafunny.com/KFGD and says, Dreams is back, baby! Media Molecule announced on their Twitter that they would be at PSX with an update on Dreams. It's what we've all been waiting for, is it? My question is, what exactly do you think they have? They will be updating us with regards to Dreams. A release date? A gameplay trailer? Another so-called beta? Curious to know what you think. I personally think that they went back to the drawing board and will be showing us a version of Dreams that is quite different than what we've seen before. Love you, and thanks for all the good times during the hard times. Love, J-Tone. Whatever Dreams is, it better have some concrete fucking facts when they come out here. To be this thing that's like kind of become a joke in the PlayStation community in terms of just like hearing about it and then it goes away and this thing that, it better come out and be like, this is the game we have. Yeah. It's not just the tech, it's not just the tools we've shown you before. This is the game. This, in the knowing PlayStation, here's the release window. Not even like here, we don't have a release date, but it's next year, fall, we're gonna do something like that. I don't know. This is what gets weird about it, right? Is like, I feel like, I guess that's going to be the game update, one of the game updates that they're talking about on Friday, because you have to have it on a centralized platform. So I guess it's Sucker Punch, and I guess it's Media Molecule, and it's Sean Layden, and that's Friday night's presentation, which sounds great. I'd love to know more about all of that stuff. But I'm wondering if that's going to be streamed out to people, like they streamed out the keynote and stuff like that. I have a lot of questions about this PSX.
Yes.
I want to know things about PSX.
I just can't get excited about Dreams. And I think that, some of the recent stuff that Media Molecule has done has not fell flat from a creative and development perspective, because I think the work they do is interesting, but I mean, fell flat from like a publicity perspective, creating hype, generating electricity around the announcement of their games or even the launch of their games. I feel like there's all of this talk in advance, but then when the games actually come out, nobody cares. Okay, I take that back. Not nobody, but like not nearly as many people are buying these games and talking about these games, making content about these games as they are discussing them in advance of release. And I find that puzzling. Maybe I just don't get it. Maybe maybe you can explain to me what the hype is around Dreams. Like, I don't.
Oh, I mean, the hype.
I'm just like, I don't know. I don't even know about this game.
The hype about Dreams, I personally feel, as PlayStation Pony, is that there isn't hype around Dreams anymore. The hype around Dreams is solely based on your Media Molecule. Mm-hmm. You are Media Molecule. You made Little Big Planet. You made Tearaway. People love you and respect you and trust that you know how to make cool shit. And it's that thing of, I say that as somebody who has gone out and gotten fucking wasted with Media Molecule, right? And like partied, and like I'm not friends. Like I could call them tomorrow and be like, "What are you doing?" But like, we're friendly, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and I've asked them point blank, like, what the fuck is your game? You know what I mean? Like, that was the running joke forever on PS I Love You and Gamescast, when Colin was like, what is this game? And I would ask them, what is this game? And they'd be like, we have a game, but we're not ready to show it yet. And so it is that, for me, somebody who's been in the industry for a decade, just like yourself, like, as quiet as it's been, I totally think this thing got scrapped. Or got totally dialed back in such a massive way that they've had to go back to the drawing board and come back, and it's going to come back, and it's going to still look like a Media Molecule game. It'll still be about creation, but they have to tell you what the game is, because the problem they've run into is just the fact of, it's been, hey, here are the tools, we're using a move wand, we're using it like a paint, and you're like, that's all awesome. That's not, I mean, Little Big Planet, right? Even if I didn't want to create Little Big Planet, or create levels in Little Big Planet, I was playing a platformer that I enjoyed. Mm-hmm. And that was easy for people to wrap their head around of, hey, it's Sackboy, hey, you're doing this. And with Dreams, we haven't seen them say, this is what the game is. And that's what they need to come out and say. So the hype, I think, is non-existent, except for, Media Molecule is making a new game, and they're talented folks. We'll see what it is, but I don't know. It's more like, I just want to know. I just want to know what the hell. So, similar to Sucker Punch, like, just what the fuck is going on over there? Tell me what's happening. Number 3, I digress. The top PSN downloads for October have been revealed, Andrea Renee.
Okay.
These are up on the PlayStation blog. PlayStation 4, I'm sticking just to PlayStation 4. There was nothing super exciting on Vita or VR. The games for October on PlayStation 4 downloads. Number 1 was FIFA. Number 2 was South Park Fractured But Whole. Number 3, Middle-earth Shadow of War. Number 4, Assassin's Creed Origins. Number 5, Gran Turismo Sport. Number 6, NBA 2K18. Number 7, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition. Number 8, Madden NFL 18. Number 9, Grand Theft Auto 5. Number 10, WWE 2K18. Now here's, I just want to jump way ahead, right? Because they give you the top 20 now instead of just the top 10. I find it fascinating as you go down. Number 19, Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus. Number 19 for Wolfenstein. That's behind Destiny 2, Dragon's Dogma, The Last of Us Remastered, Mortal Kombat XL.
Remember, Wolfenstein came out on October 27th.
Sure.
At the very tail end of the month.
Sure. So did Assassin's Creed Origins, which is number 4.
Right, but Assassin's Creed is a much bigger franchise and a much more well-known household name than Wolfenstein is. And also, like, Wolfenstein is a hyper-violent game, so it appeals to a smaller audience than a game. Even though there's a lot of violence in Assassin's Creed, it's not as, like, in your face as Wolfenstein is, and I think that probably had something to do with it.
Yep.
It is a little disappointing to see that it is so far down that list, but maybe it'll make a little bit of a comeback in November.
I think it's just that conversation we've had about Wolfenstein 2, which is fantastic, plays great, beautiful, great story, critically acclaimed. The fans who play it love it. But it is just, how do you go out and compete on the same day as Origins and Mario?
You don't. And it's really frustrating because you see a game, if you're a gamer who has a limited budget, which is most gamers, and you've got like 3 games you can buy this holiday season. Like, that's it. And even 3 is a lot for people. Sometimes they can just buy 1, you know? And you look at the competition about like, okay, I've got my $60 or my $80 or whatever. How far can my dollar go looking at this top 20 list? And Wolfenstein, it's not going to go very far.
Yeah.
You know, like, if you look at every other game on this list and like the amount of replayability in some of them, it's not even in the hunt. And that's really, I think, probably what's at stake here.
Yeah, I'm not there to make fun of Wolfenstein. I'm there to say, man, what a sad fate for this game.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not making fun of it. It's an excellent game.
No, I know you're
yeah,
not.
but I'm just saying, like, this is probably why we're seeing it so far down the list. If you're going to spend your money, you could get GTA 5, Assassin's Creed, Middle-earth, which are all incredibly large games. Now, the surprise for me here is seeing South Park in the number 2 spot.
Right.
It obviously released much earlier in the month.
Yeah, 10 days ahead of Wolfenstein.
So it had a lot more time to sell more copies, which I'm sure plays into the numbers here. But yeah, little side note. I was watching John play.
John Drake, your husband,
my husband, play.
Licked Kevin at Extra Life.
He licked Kevin in the Extra Life live stream. Yes.
Do you ever pop into the Kind of Funny subreddit?
Every once in a blue moon.
I enjoyed the thread that was like, who is this guy that came over with Andrea? He's hilarious. And people had to go explain.
The John Drake of Harmonix fame. He started playing GTA 5 again, just decided to pick it up out of the blue.
Is he doing online?
No, he's finishing like where he left off in the campaign.
Okay. Yeah.
And wow, the graphical updates that they've made for that game, it looks excellent.
We all started playing online. He should get in on that with us.
Oh man, you think I have time for that?
No, him, not you. You're the busiest lady in gaming.
I ain't got time. I'll
John
let him
Drake's
know.
just sitting there drinking Diet Cokes, not doing a damn thing at PlayStation.
He does no work all day. That's correct.
I tossed in the PlayStation 4 add-ons. That's the PlayStation 4 DLC because I just find it interesting the domination that you see on this. Number 1, Rocket League, the Fast and Furious 1999 Nissan Skyline. Number 2,
That's not surprising.
Middle of Earth Shadow of War Expansion Pass. Number 3, Friday the 13th Emote Party Pack 1.
I really need to buy that.
Number 4, oh yeah, right. Friday the 13th, the game Costume Party Counselor Clothing Pack. Number 5, WWE Season Pass. Number 6, Rocket League Fast and the Furious 70 Dodge. Number 7, Middle of Earth Shadow of War Starter Bundle. Number 8, Friday the 13th, the game Spring Break Clothing Pack. Number 9, Dead by Daylight Leatherface. And number 10, Assassin's Creed Origins Season Pass. Just, I wouldn't have pegged that the Friday the 13th DLC would do so well. But I'm glad it is because I bought it all, so whatever.
I think that you have a big hand in promoting that game, Greg.
You think so?
Yeah, you talk about it all the time. And you play it on Kind of Funny Games Twitch channel all the time, too.
All right, I'll take it. I like it a lot. Everybody support it.
They should be giving you kickbacks.
Everybody tweet at Friday the 13th game and say, hey, what do we got to do to get a Kind of Funny shirt in there?
Oh, that would be awesome.
Just a Kind of Funny shirt. They already make it. Kevin, you could send him a logo today. The shirt's in there. Go ahead. Kevin's got something to say here.
How many players are there total? Jason plus...
7 counselors.
Oh, you mean in the game? Yeah.
How many Kind of Funny employees are there? That's all I'm saying.
You don't even want a shirt. You want to make all the Kind of Funny employees counselors.
Yeah.
That would require some extensive dev work.
I was going to say, if we can...
Yes, it would.
lot of them
That's a lot of art
kinda
assets to make, Kevin.
A lot of them already
Here's the deal I'll make right now with Gun Media and Ilphonic, the people behind
are you
Friday the
listening
13th.
out there?
This is a binding contract. If we can get Friday the 13th to be the #1 most downloaded PlayStation game, in December, then I think you got to put us all in there. You know what I mean?
That's a tall order.
For the record, we are not going to start this campaign. I do want you to tweet and try to get Kind of Funny shirt in there. Why not? But we're not going to start a campaign to make you download Friday 13th. We already did it for Taco Master and we won that one. So
We did.
what do we need to worry about? Number 4, Assassin's Creed Origins has sold twice as fast as Syndicate did. This is via IGN. According to a press release ahead of the company's quarterly call with investors, Assassin's Creed Origins has sold 100% better than Syndicate in the same 10-day period following launch. Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot said credited the, quote, longer development lead times of Assassin's Creed Origins and other Ubisoft games, allowing developers to fully express their creative visions. Guillemot added, the longer leads mean Ubisoft can maximize the potential of our games. Ubisoft first half sales are up 65.7% over the same period last year, with digital revenue up 69.1%. Nice. Also, via Reset Era, I found this one, Nintendo Switch has accounted for 19% of Ubisoft's Q2 software sales, and that means Mario plus Rabbids.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
This is not surprising to me at all. The game is excellent. I cannot put it down. I have not started Mario because I can't stop playing Assassin's Creed.
Wow.
I love this game.
I gotta sort my life out. I like Assassin's Creed, and that first hour didn't get me, and I fell off. But you loving it means I should go back.
The amazing design in the open world and how they've balanced the sandbox with the RPG mechanics. And I fully admit, I've said on this show, I said on What's Good Games, that I was skeptical of the RPG-ness of the game because it's such a deviation from the Assassin's Creed kind of formula. But it is so good, and I'm so happy that it's so good. And I look at what they've done with the open world of Egypt and really realizing this from an artistic perspective and say, I don't know if somebody can actually bring a legitimate argument to me that Zelda's open world is better than Assassin's Creed.
Whoa. Good job, Kev.
Like literally, let's
Wow.
let's maybe make like some PowerPoints and figure out the more I play it and the way that I see the amount of care and detail that was put into every single part of this open world, I'm continually blown away by it.
Wow.
And I haven't even started playing with the 4K patch yet.
Wow. Fuck. Yeah, I know, right? She sold me on it right there. I got to finish this Horizon DLC and then
You
move
guys,
over
it's
there.
so good.
Yeah,
So
Horizon
good.
DLC is real good too.
I haven't started that yet either. I have to buy a code.
What a nightmare.
Yeah.
If only you knew someone who worked at PlayStation.
No, man, he doesn't get codes.
What a monster. I'm telling you, he does nothing. Number 5. The studio behind Zelda Remakes is hiring for a new, quote, legend, via GameInformer. Grezzo, a Japanese video game developer best known in recent years for 3DS remakes of The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask, is recruiting for Unreal Engine 4 programmers. The website, when translated to English, describes hiring developers for a new project by asking, would you like to make a legend together too? The two at the end is because they presented the same line when recruiting for Majora's Mask 3D, though it was not known that that was the project at the time. The natural inclination is to assume that this will be another Zelda project for the Switch, but that's not necessarily the case. Grezzo's founder is also the director of Secret of Mana and Legend of Mana when he was with Squaresoft, also known as whatever you pronounce it in Japan there, which also uses the same legend titling. It is possible that Grezzo is getting re-involved with the Mana series again, especially as it seems to be the studio's latest game, Nintendo published Ever Oasis on the 3DS, did not light up the charts. Meanwhile, Square Enix appears to be getting behind the Mana series again. Just a heads up, not much to add. More Zelda's fine. I never played the remakes on 3DS, but now that I have a Switch that's a handheld I enjoy, maybe I
The
would.
Majora's Mask remake was really well done.
Yeah, Majora's Mask, a great game. Underrated game. Sick of people talking shit about it, Andrea.
It's just a little bit of a
Don't talk shit
deviation
about it.
from the Zelda
yeah,
formula.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why people are confused about it.
Exactly, because the Zelda people always want to eat the same bowl of shit all the time. Oh, I don't have a fairy. Oh, I have a wood sword. That's why everybody likes the Breath of the Wild. Because guess what? There you go. You got a sword. You got a Master Shield. Go have fun. We're like, yay, thank you. This is different and fun. Not the same goddamn thing. And now I'm turned into a fucking wolf. I digress. Number 6, there's going to be absolutely no discussion on this, I assume. MLB The Show 18 covers athlete is the Yankees' Aaron Judge. I do not know that man in any way, shape, or form, but I wanted to shout
Congrats,
out that for
Aaron.
you. For everybody in San Diego who cares, Ramon out there hustling. Andrea,
Yes, Greg.
I respect the show. I won't ever play it. I almost tried when it was like crossed with the Vita, but whatever. Show's not out for a while. If I want to know what was out in stores today in the mom and grop digital shops, where would I go?
You'd go to the official list of upcoming software across each and every platform as listed by the Kind of Funny Games Daily Show host each and every weekday.
Yeah. Today, Xbox One backwards compatibility is getting enhancements for Gears of War 3, Skate 3, and Mirror's Edge. Wolfenstein 2 gets an update 1.02. This opens the vault on the main menu. You can play 10 new combat simulations. Over on the Microsoft side, there's this little thing called the Xbox One X.
Launch
it's been released
day.
today. Congratulations, everybody out there watching your 4Ks. Your eyes bleeding, having a great
pretty.
time. Yeah. I just like that it looks good.
Yeah,
'Cause
we're
now-
going to talk about that in the reader mail, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think so. Probably. I have my Pro now, the cable box, and then the Xbox One X, all in the little entertainment
Wait,
center.
when'd you get a Pro?
They're all black. Last week, last Monday.
Oh, so it's fresh.
No, I didn't. There's a question coming up about it. We'll talk about it. Yeah. No, I didn't make a big deal about it. I just mentioned it. I finally got my fucking 20th anniversary with the beep beep beep. Ding, ding, ding. Ding, ding, ding. I'm like, shut up. Let me play a game. Ding, ding, ding. And I've tightened the screw a million fucking times. I was like, some kid was like,
You got to unplug it.
today a guy was like, oh, you can just rip out the eject button. I'm like, no, it's just going to go up on a shelf now and be a conversation piece. No, it's beautiful. I love the system. That's why I couldn't hurt it, but I wanted to kill it. If it was a normal PlayStation 4 that was like this, we would have broken it with a hammer just because I hate it so much. It made me hate it. You know what I mean? Like, I hate the fucking thing, but I love it. I digress. There's 20 new indies coming to PlayStation Now as well today. Republic, Abzu, and more are on there. Then Farming Simulator, the Nintendo Switch edition, comes to, you guessed it, Nintendo Switch. Heroes of the Monkey Tavern comes to Switch, which looks like the weirdest. Somehow we're trying to cash in on Monkey Island. I don't know. This is just off the logo. Sonic Forces comes to Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Horizon Zero Dawn, The Frozen Wilds comes to PlayStation 4. Neo, the Complete Edition, comes to PlayStation 4 and PC. ATV Drift and Tricks comes to PlayStation 4. Discovery comes to PlayStation 4, PlayStation VR. Hand of Fate 2 comes to PlayStation 4. Jeopardy! Comes to PlayStation 4. League of War VR Arena comes to PlayStation VR. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, the Telltale series, Episode 5 wraps up on Xbox One, PS4, and PC. Minecraft Story Mode Season 2, Episode 4 comes to Xbox One, PS4, and PC. And who says Telltale was making too many games? Professional Construction, the simulation, comes to PlayStation 4. Way of Redemption comes to PlayStation 4. Wheel of fucking Fortune comes to PlayStation 4. You bet your ass I am buying that. Super Lucky's Tale comes to Xbox One. Assault Android Cactus comes to Xbox One. Hitman Game of the Year Edition comes to PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC. Need for Speed Payback Deluxe Edition comes to PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Professional, no, I already got that one on there. And then Super Hypercube comes to PC. Quite the Tuesday as always.
Indeed.
New dates for you, dorks. Xenoblade Chronicle 2 information here from IGN. Players who purchase the expansion pass will receive new support items in December, followed by new quests in January. In spring 2018, a new rare blade will be added, then a new challenge battle mode in summer. Finally, a new story/adventure will be released in autumn 2018 for expansion pass holders. Japanese VO DLC will be free at launch on December 1st. Meanwhile, on November 9th, Zelda players can download a new side quest that includes a costume based on Rex from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Also, Pig Eat Ball comes to PlayStation 4 spring 2018. Deals of the day. Andrew Renee added one, which I'm always very proud of her for.
I did. I saw this. I can't remember which website I saw this on, but Ubisoft is giving Watch Dogs away for free on PC. So if you never played it and you want to check it out, it's free from November 7th through November 13th.
This is the original one?
Yes, not
Gotcha.
Watch Dogs 2, the original Watch Dogs.
Gotcha.
And it's just for PC. It's not for other platforms.
You see spoilers? Spoilers, not really, but spoilers. That like the new Assassin's Creed confirms or whatever that like Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed are happening in the same universe.
I saw
Which
a
they've,
headline about that, and then I didn't read it.
It confirms it as much as the other ones ever confirmed it. Where hey, this guy's name is in one game and now it's in another, and Aiden killed him, but he's in this thing. And it's like,
There's so like the way that they've changed the modern day stuff with Abstergo and Assassin's Creed. I'm still like a little behind on. So far, I'm at level 26 in the game,
Yeah.
and there's only been like 2 modern day scenes, and both were pretty like.
is it still just working at a computer or whatever?
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, I don't want to give anything away, but like it harkens more to the Desmond Miles era of the Assassin's Creed present day stuff,
Okay.
which I like from like a gameplay perspective. But there is a computer that has a bunch of text info that I was like, is this how you're going to relay all of the information about what's happening in modern day? Because it's really unfortunate that like that's how it's going to be, because I spent probably 10 minutes just briefly skimming through all of the documents inside this computer. And I was like, you know what? I really hope somebody puts together like
I don't want to do this
like a
that
video
much.
or a summary article. It's too much to read when the gameplay is so good, and I was just itching to get back to it.
That was the thing with this Horizon DLC. There's like, no spoilers, there's one side quest you go on and takes you to like a water treatment facility you need to work on or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was like, all right, cool, this is the gameplay's fun here, but I was finding these audio logs and this like really, and like jumping in and then reading the attachments that came with it. It was like, the audio log was interesting to listen to, and then by the time it was over, I was done reading what it was, and I was like, I just want to know more about this fucking story. And like, I'm bouncing around trying to find them all and stuff. I love it when they nail it, when they nail that additive content that is just something else that's being tossed in, telling you a story that's inconsequential. You could totally ignore, but if you want more out of this, it's there. But then you get the other side of it, where it's like, can I get back to doing the fun stuff?
Well, and it's frustrating because like I want to take the time to read that stuff because I know it was somebody's job on that team to write that, to make those assets, to build that into the game, and I don't want to just glance over it because it feels almost disrespectful to the work that they did.
100%.
And clearly they put it in there for a reason. It was a lot of text in one sitting. It wasn't like they opened up a couple emails here and then you go back and a couple more open. It was like a dump of info the first time you go to that computer, and I was like, this is a lot.
It's too much. It's too much. Time for reader mail. This is where you write into kindafunny.com/KFGD, just like Ryan did. Ryan says, hello, Greg, and mostly Andrea. Well, fuck you. I was initially very upset with BioWare's offerings for the 10th N7 day. After accepting that this will be the norm with Mass Effect, my favorite franchise, on the back burner, I had a big picture idea about Anthem. There is very little information out on Anthem other than it is aiming to be similar to Destiny. While I enjoy Destiny, gameplay is king, and the story in the game took a back seat. In sharp contrast to that, we have BioWare, a studio that owes much of its success to telling a compelling story and developing beloved characters. With Mass Effect firmly swept under the rug, what do you think about the possibility of Anthem being a Mass Effect level story with a games as a service model underneath? Thanks for everything you both do, Ryan. You pointed yourself. You're upset with 10th and 7 as well?
No, I'm saying I'm repping my N7 because it's N7 day.
I was reading. I don't know. Don't yell at me. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Andy Cortez also tweeted a photo of us both repping our gear today for N7 day. I think I think Ryan's right. That's exactly what BioWare is doing with Anthem, a Mass Effect level story with the games as service model underneath. I think that would be a home run for them.
That's what they need to do. Yeah.
Because I think that's the thing that's really missing from Destiny right now. And as much as you and I both love Destiny, and I'm so glad that you have enjoyed all of your time with
Hell
it.
Yeah.
What's missing is a compelling story and a larger set of characters that you like. Obviously, a lot of people have a love for Cade, and the other Vanguards also, have their fans, and of course, you've got Shaxx with Crucible, but you don't really have deep interactions with those characters as the player like you do in a series like Mass Effect, right? Like you develop closer bonds with your crewmates in Mass Effect than you really ever have with the people that you run into in the world of Destiny. So I think that would be the best of both worlds if BioWare can take their pedigree in creating storylines and creating meaningful relationships with the characters in these storylines and put that with the kind of addictive live service gameplay that Destiny has, that would be a home run.
Yeah, if it gave you a reason to keep going back and doing stuff on your own outside of just doing stuff with other people, right?
Right.
Because even now with Endgame Destiny 2 stuff, everybody's like, oh, there's not enough to do. Everybody wants to come back and wait for the December drop and get what's happening there with that expansion.
But in fairness, when you compare the amount of content in that game to other games in the space, there's a lot of content in that game. And I think it's a testament to how great of a job Bungie did that people are looking at a game like Destiny 2 and saying, I need more. Like, I powered through everything that you had for me, and I need more. It wasn't enough. But I look at what they offered with Destiny 2 versus Destiny, and it's so much more content.
Do you think it's unfair in what people are doing is judging Destiny 1 at the end of its life cycle to Destiny 2 at the beginning of its?
I mean, I don't think it's unfair. I think people can do whatever they want as far as criticism goes, but I think it's important to recognize the learning growth that Bungie as a studio went through from the launch of vanilla Destiny to the launch of Destiny 2, and just how much they improved upon adding additional content, giving more playtime and more play experiences, and diversifying what that experience looks like.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Anthem, we really don't know what the gameplay is going to be like. And if we look at the history of BioWare as a studio and the type of actual mechanics and like the actual play experience, combat, traversal, all of that, you know, that to me is really the problematic sector of it being successful as a live service game, because the reason why Destiny 2 works and why they can get away with not having these extensive storylines that a game like Mass Effect has is because the gameplay is so good. It's so polished, it's so smooth and addicting and so much fun to continue to go back and play. And you can't really say that about a lot of BioWare's other series. Like, you go back to those games like Dragon Age, games like Mass Effect, because the story and the characters are so great.
Yeah, you forgive its flaws in gameplay if something's clunky because you love the characters.
Yeah, so I hope that they are taking a look at, you know, the core gameplay underneath the storylines and really putting a lot of time and effort into improving that experience.
While you were talking about all that, I was thinking, man, we might get Division 2 next year at E3.
We might.
It's time for Division 2, baby.
I mean, like, we have to, right? I mean, that game was so successful for Ubisoft.
They sunk so much into it. They got to come back with another one, right?
See, that's a game I never really got into because the story never grabbed me.
Oh, really? See, the story for me is the opposite. Where I was like, oh, how cool is this? That it's like it's happening in New York. When I struggle with fantasy. Anthem looks great from what we saw, but I'm like, I'm an Iron Man on an alien world.
See,
like,
I'm the exact opposite. Like,
Yeah.
I love fantasy. I love sci-fi.
Yeah.
Give me it. All of it.
Ground everything. Make it all horrible. The dollar flu virus. MSUHitman wrote in, a longtime supporter and best friend, says he has a theory. Put on your tinfoil hats here, everybody.
Okay.
Is Microsoft and GameStop having a secret war over Xbox Game Pass? Let me explain my thought process. My GameStop in the St. Louis market is one of the busiest out of all 3 districts. Mergers are fun. And had 27 combined pre-orders of Scorpio and Xbox One X. We only got 28 combined units total. Looking at the rest of the city, no store got more than 1 or 2 free sell units, meaning they weren't, pre-ordered. Meanwhile, Target.com and BestBuy.com had Scorpio pre-orders available until yesterday afternoon. Best Buy stores, where all my online multiplayer friends got theirs, are giving me reports of Best Buy's having 40 pre-orders with an additional 40 free sells. Now, looking at the Xbox Game Pass, the entire catalog is made up of older Xbox One and backwards compatible Xbox 360 games that are GameStop's bread and butter. And in most cases, one of those titles physically costs as much or more at GameStop than the $9.99 monthly price of Xbox Game Pass. So, is this Microsoft's way of subtly removing GameStop as a competitor by trying to get homes with internet access, not a given even in St. Louis, into the habit of just buying digital instead of physical? Would like to hear hear the host's comments on my wild conspiracy theory. Thanks as always. That's interesting that the GameStops aren't getting as many free sells, but I would also think they're smaller stores. Isn't that the bigger issue?
I think the number of free sell units that each retailer gets is not like a perfect science. I think that they take a look at a variety of factors when they ship out units to these stores. I don't know what those factors are, but I have to imagine that Microsoft is not going to withhold units from the biggest games retailer in the United States, where Xbox is really like a dominant brand in particular, just over some kind of like
backwards
perceived
resell
grudge.
thing.
Yeah, no, I don't think that that's. I like that you are going down this like hypothetical wild conspiracy theory, but I don't think that that's. I don't think that that's the case.
It seems. I mean, GameStop's getting it on all fronts from everybody, and so that's the thing of. I don't see how they would pick this to be their hill to die on with the Xbox One X.
Yeah, no, I don't either. And I think it's great that there are more ways for gamers to play older games. I think it's great that GameStop is taking advantage of their inventory and saying, like, let's start this subscription service and let people come in and essentially rent games.
Yeah, Gamer Pass Unlimited or whatever the hell it's
called.
I
think that's cool great. Idea. And it gives them, hopefully another source of revenue to continue to pay their employees.
Yep.
but I don't think Xbox is looking at Game Pass as a major revenue driver for their business. Obviously, Xbox Live is a huge revenue driver for them overall, but Game Pass specifically, I don't know how much of a piece of the pie that's going to make up.
Yeah, again, I think it's one of their gamers first, we're doing everything right foundation things.
Yeah, they're doing a really great job of messaging the right points right now and really kind of putting themselves out there as a brand that says, hey, we care about you, we care about the community, we care about the games on the platform, and we want you to be satisfied with your purchase and think that your investment was worthwhile. And that's great. I'm glad that they're doing that.
Me too. Alex writes in and says, hey, Greg, and lovely co-host, it's Andrew. So, you made the upgrade to a PlayStation 4 Pro, Greg, and I want to hear your thoughts. Does it load faster? Are the menus snappier? I'm in the market to upgrade, and I'd love to hear my favorites in video games thoughts on the console. Thanks, Alex. You have a PlayStation 4 Pro as well.
I do.
You like it?
I do.
Are you using it on a 4K TV? Is that you one of these kids? Looks pretty?
It looks gorgeous.
Okay. I don't have a 4K TV. And like I said, for me, it was the fact that the 20... Hey, don't boo me, Kevin, all right? Maybe you work a little bit harder, we make more money, I can afford it.
Listen, I've had my PS4 Pro since last year when it launched. Yeah. And I just got a 4K TV 1 week ago.
Yeah.
The PS4 Pro looks incredible on a 1080p HD TV. So you do not need a 4K TV to get the most advantage out of a PS4 Pro. Everything you said here is true. The menus are snappier.
Yep.
Yes, things load faster. Yep. All the games look better
Internet's
on a PS4
faster.
Pro. Like, it's just
faster.
an upgraded experience. So if you're in the market for an upgrade, I don't know why you're hesitating. Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, that was it for me. The PlayStation 4 was time to sunset the other one. And that's the whole point. If you're buying a PlayStation 4, regardless, I don't see why you wouldn't get the Pro for the $100 and
Absolutely.
get the better Wi-Fi and get the better loads and all these different things. Yeah, so far so good, and I love it. It's quiet, which I like. Is a change from both other PlayStation 4s in the house.
It's not as quiet if you're using the disc drive, and I will say it's substantially louder than the Xbox One X.
Oh, really?
Xbox One X.
I'm using them
whisper
both.
Quiet.
I use both. Like I was streaming Amazon stuff on it last night, and then I was streaming Friday the 13th on the Xbox One a couple nights ago. So I don't know anything about it. Disc drives. I'm in the future, man. I got like those Doc Brown wraparound sunglasses. I ain't fucking with no discs no more. StoreyXIV writes in to kindoffunny.com/KFGD and says, on yesterday's Games Daily in regards to which companies Microsoft could buy, Tim suggested Bethesda. Again, he wasn't suggesting Bethesda, he was using it as a hypothetical that he knew wouldn't happen, and what it could do to the industry. I would assume that due to the size of this company, this isn't likely, but it got me thinking that Microsoft could acquire someone like IO Interactive, making Hitman an Xbox exclusive. Do you think Xbox could acquire a few companies in the same vein, and that would be enough to sell consoles, or would it take an acquisition as big as a company like Bethesda? Thanks for reading and keep up the awesome work. First time writing in. Congratulations.
I don't think that they need to full out acquire another company. I think they just need to do a strategic deal like PlayStation did with Insomniac for Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
Like, so PlayStation didn't buy Insomniac Games. They just made a strategic business deal where they financed a large portion, if not all of the development of that game to make it a platform exclusive.
Yeah.
So I would like to see Xbox do a deal like that with a major developer that has an established pedigree in the space to say, hey, we want like a really gigantic exclusive that will be just for Xbox. And I think if they can nail that, then they're well on their way.
I think, yeah, those deals are more likely and probably more beneficial in the long run. Sony's had its first-party stable for so long. That's great. Everybody loves that. But with Xbox trying to make it up, yeah, broker exclusive deals. It would be interesting to see if you brought Hitman over here, what it would do. I don't think Hitman on its own would do enough. Hitman, of course, everything I was doing, Hitman's, by all accounts, a fantastic game. But it's not a juggernaut. But if you got 2, 3, 4 of those together and announce that, hey, we're doing this, we have something on the par of Spider-Man, suddenly that ecosystem looks different of like, oh man, well I do like, games A, C, and D from this list that they're saying they have exclusive rights to now. Maybe I'm gonna go over there and get it. That's always the thing where we're like, you used to hang your hat on Tomb Raider coming out, but it was always the fake exclusive. It's going to be there in a year. And then I think like that hurt Tomb Raider the second, obviously Rise of Tomb Raider. We've had this argument before on the show.
Yeah.
But I think that hurt them in the long run. And it's just like, okay, like it'd be better to get out there and be like, yeah, we're publishing. We've brokered this deal with this developer to publish this game only for us. It'll all be there.
Absolutely. I think that, they've just had a couple missteps with new IP that are exclusive in the last several years, which is why when you think about, these tentpole Xbox exclusives, you keep going back to Halo and Gears of War and Forza as like those are like the staple Xbox games.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think that their ongoing success or failure is going to hang exclusively on exclusives. I think that they just need to make some more strategic third-party partnerships. And I think, for example, the Assassin's Creed marketing partnership that they've done this year has been great for them. I, for one, got Assassin's Creed on Xbox because I was convinced that it was going to look better on an Xbox One X, and it does. It looks better on Xbox One X than it looks on PS4 Pro. And I think that if they are going to, have some long-term success and really become, more present in like the mind share of the gaming community at large, like they need to make more of those deals with their third-party partners.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Jared writes into kindoffunny.com/KFGD and says, "Hey, Greg and Andrea, since it's Xbox One X launch day, I was wondering your opinions on it. I've been thinking about getting an Xbox One X. I have a 4K TV, and I already own the original Xbox One and plenty of games. Should I get a launch one or wait for a possible PUBG edition? Thanks for all you guys do. P.S. I already have a PlayStation 4 Pro. I just bought it as well." You've been extensively using this Xbox One X with your Assassin's Creed and your
Correct.
4K TV and all that stuff.
Middle-earth, Shadow of War, playing that as well.
You love it? Is it great?
I love it.
Yeah.
It's great. Here's the thing. It also is not necessary if you are not somebody who needs like the big, powerful piece of tech, right? Like, I think the iPhone X coming out is kind of a great like analogy to be like, okay, that's like the big, shiny, expensive thing because it's like the new hotness that's like super powerful and some people like need or want that or feel like they need it. I mean, listen, no one needs that phone, but there's a giant portion of the population that are like, I'm going to spend more money to get the fancy new powerful thing because that's what I want. And this is what I talked to Albert Pinello about when I interviewed him, back at the Xbox One X showcase, a couple of months ago, was that the segment in electronics that has existed now for several years, where there's this like multi-layer option to what you can buy, whether it be kitchen electronics, whether it be, your TVs or what have you. And in consoles, that has not really quite existed up until now. Yeah. And so as somebody who's been using my Xbox One X, I think it's a fantastic piece of hardware. And I think the amount of power that and the features that they've packed into that box at that price point makes sense. However, you don't need to spend that. And that's why you're seeing so many Xbox One S bundles right now and how Microsoft is still pushing that piece of hardware because that is also a good piece of hardware for half the price of the X. Now, of course, you're sacrificing 4K gaming, but that is truly what the Xbox One X is for. Like if you have made the investment in a 4K TV and you appreciate high-end tech, then you absolutely should consider getting the Xbox One X. Now, when it comes to PUBG, I think that we'll see an Xbox One S bundle way before we're going to see an X bundle. And the reason we're not seeing X bundles is because it's so expensive just for the hardware that they know it's a hard marketing push to try to say, let's make a bundle, which is why all the bundles we're seeing so far, and I think we will see through Black Friday and the holiday, will be S focus bundles. Yeah,
I think that's always the way, right? PlayStation just started putting out PlayStation 4 Pro bundles like this half of the year. Like it's going to be a while before you see an Xbox One X bundle. And I think an Xbox One S PUBG is the way you'd actually see it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's one of those things, if you're thinking about it, Jared, and you want it, I think you lay out a case that not even the 4K TV, but the fact that you already use the Xbox One and have a ton of games on it. For me, that's the same thing why I upgrade my phone, usually every 2 years, but I did the Xbox One X, or the Xbox One X phone, the iPhone X this time around, right? Because for me, it's just like the PlayStation of, I use this every day. So when the PlayStation 4 started giving me trouble and not doing it, like, I'm annoyed with this. I'm annoyed with how slow it is to load friends list, to do this, to sync. It was like, all right, well, there is this other option. I just want this domino to fall. And when when a new one wouldn't shut up, I was like, perfect, here we go.
Right.
That's my reason, because I'm going to have it on every day. As someone who now has the Xbox One X, the Office one at home that I've been fooling around with, it's like, It seems great. I don't notice a better like crazy difference, but I'm not using a 4K TV, and I'm also just not using it that much. My Xbox is my exclusive machine. I need to play Cuphead on it.
Well, the thing that I think is a fair criticism that we're seeing right now is that was this the right time for this piece of hardware to launch, given that there is not really a large stable of Microsoft exclusive games to really showcase the power.
Sure.
And there's not even like a lot of other third-party games yet that are showcasing the power. Clearly, they have this giant list of over 100 enhanced for Xbox One X games that they keep touting. But like as far as downloading those updates, I mean, it's going to take some time for the developers to catch up to where the hardware is at, and to really put those updates out over time. So if you want to wait and buy it maybe like early next year, once over the next couple of months we see more and more of those updates push, that's also an option for you. But I have to just reiterate, like, they delivered on what they were promising with this piece of hardware. It is fantastic. It runs amazing. It looks great. The suspend mode, where I can turn the console off and come back and turn my controller on and instantly be back in the game, is fantastic. PS4 Pro does not have that. But again, it's like, are you in the market for it? Is it in your financial budget? Do you want that high-end gaming experience? If your answer is yes, 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 then I don't know why you're hesitating. But if your answer is like, nah, I'm good. Just like if you're like, I'm cool to keep my iPhone 5 or my iPhone 6 when the iPhone 8 comes out, like, that's okay too. It's not for everybody.
Exactly. Dan gets the honor of being the final question today. He wrote into kindafunny.com/KFGD and says, "Hi, Greg and Andrea. Do you think it's weird that Horizon's DLC takes place mid-story? I know it's not related to the main story, but as you first head to the DLC area, you get contacted by Silence, right? That's his name? Silence? I forget. But I know who you're talking about. Dude from Quantum Break, telling you to go back to your main mission. That felt pretty weird because I had already beat the game. Parentheses, of course, the game save starts before the final mission, even after you beat it. Would it have been better to have the DLC be an unrelated post-game tangent to the main story, or is there some benefit to the DLC taking place earlier that I'm missing? Thanks, and MIZ to Greg. ZOU to you, Dan. The thing you're missing is the fact that the game's way different after the end of the game. Like, there's more story things. The world looks different. There's a bunch of different things have happened that make it more complicated for you to exist in a world that doesn't exist already. This is the easy way to do this. Hey, we already have the map. Hey, it's already laid out. We don't have to go back and try to retcon everything else in the world to have you do that. I guess you could have told an epilogue story, but it would feel anti-Horizon to lock you into one part, right? Like right now, the thing about it is you open up a brand new part of the map and you have to go in there and, you know, use a tall neck to clear it off, but then you can go back to all the old stuff you were doing or keep going with that story.
I did not know this until I read this reader mail, because I have not played any of Frozen Wilds yet. I'm kind of a little like on the fence about how I feel about that, because I finished the game and then I went back and did some side quests and then finished the game a second time and got like the better ending. Yeah. And so the idea that I'm now going back a third time before the final mission to do DLC does feel a little odd, okay. But it's not uncommon. Yeah. Like many other games have done this style of DLC. I have to play it first to really kind of suss out how I feel about it. Yeah, I mean, I feel like what I like about this is that if you're going to play it on the complete edition or whatever, you're just going to play it like this from the beginning, then you're just going to have this thing and it doesn't hinder, get in the way of the ending, in the way that I feel like the game ends so well and wraps up the questions you had at the end of throughout the game and then gives you the Easter egg for what maybe Horizon 2 would be about or where we're going to go with this story. And that's fine. I don't need an epilogue after the fact. And I understand then also from just a development standpoint of the way the world's left is in a different spot, and then you'd have to go rebuild the world or put you into a separate thing. And how are we going to get Aloy to this weird island and leave her there and blah, blah, blah. Like, this is a story they wanted to tell, and they wanted to continue to use the map they had. So it was for me that, like, I know exactly this part he's talking about because I did pop up and I was like, oh, right, like they need to retcon in a reason why I'd go do this if I, like, because, you know, my save picks up right before the last mission of, like, why I'd walk off and do this. But I think it was just because that's the story they wanted to tell, and they probably want to save what happens after the credits for what happens in Horizon 1 Dawn. Don't call it that. Time to squad up. This is where one of you writes into kindafunny.com/KFGD. You give me your name, your username, your platform of choice, and why you need help in video games. I read it here. The best friends find you, and everybody has good times. James Poggione
writes in. He needs help on PlayStation 4. His username is Coachpoggione, all one word. So Coach, Poggione. He says he needs help because suck it in multiplayer and need a group of people to help with Destiny 2. Everybody go help out Coach Poggione. He needs you desperately. This is his time of need. Andrea?
Yes, Greg.
What did we get wrong today at kindoffunny.com/you're wrong, where everybody watching live needs to go and correct us on factual things, not editorializing.
So people are trying to be funny.
Don't be funny!
And you're wrong. But this one from Congress says, Kevin forgot to say Baker's dozen, but I think that's because we rushed through the opening of the Roper Report.
We were doing a very serious breaking news thing. Come on,
so
guys.
that's not on Kevin. Nope, not that one.
Kevin, don't take it. You don't accept it.
K-Babs is writing about how PSS is affecting my plans, but I said to write into kindoffunny.com/KFGD because it's not a you're wrong. So please put that over there.
Thank you. No, Kevin. Oh, okay.
Oh, this is interesting. It's not necessarily a you're wrong, but I think it's worth reading. The Indie Boy says, additional info re South Park. If you digitally pre-ordered South Park, you unlocked the Stick of Truth instantly. However, if you pre-ordered physical, you got it when it came out. This may have driven higher digital uptake in comparison with physical. That is a great point.
That is interesting. And that would make sense. Those pre-orders would count. Well, they took your money before then, though, right? If you pre-ordered the Fracture But Whole, does that count as... It's top downloads, though. It's numbers, not sales.
Correct.
Good job, Mark. That's good feedback.
I'm
drawing a bat symbol today, but I'm not good at bat symbols, so I'm trying.
So Albie the one and only says, some additional numbers for the Xbox One X launch. IHS Market predicts that Microsoft will sell about 900,000 units of the console during 2017 in the US and the UK from their initial sell-through forecast of 500,000 units. The research firm posits that the Xbox One X will likely make up about 20% of the holiday season sales, while the Xbox One family of consoles will compose about 80%.
Okay.
That is interesting. Not necessarily you're wrong, but good solid info there about the overall picture. I mean, I have no doubt that the S is going to far outsell the X this holiday season purely from a price point perspective.
Sure.
And the bundles and the deals that the Black Friday sales are going to drive for Xbox. Xbox usually has a very successful November because they're excellent at marketing their products. And it's just like, it's a much better sell when something's $250, maybe $300 with a bundle and some games and stuff thrown in versus $500 base plus that external terabyte, 2 terabyte, maybe 4 terabyte hard drive you're going to have to buy.
Sons of bitches.
If you buy an Xbox One X, you must buy an external hard drive if you do not have one already.
For the patches alone.
Like there's just no question. The Quantum Break 4K patch is like 150 gigs. It's ridiculous.
2017 gaming.
Not the patch, the total download.
You
just
wanted
to be specific.
This. Good job. You would have gotten you wrong, and we would.
Well, it's more than that actually, but it's over that. But yeah. Anyway, that's it, Greg.
Thank you, Andrea.
No problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Kinda Funny Games Daily for Tuesday, November 7th, 2017. Tomorrow, it's Widow Wednesday. Gary Widow returns to the show. Remember, you can watch live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. You can watch later on youtube.com/kindafunnygames or listen on podcast services around the globe, no matter where you get us. Thank you for that. Andrea, we haven't checked in a while. What's happening with What's Good this week?
Well, in case you guys missed it, we had 5 episodes launched last week for our Lights Off show. That's facebook.com/Lights Off show. Hilarity ensues on that page. We hope you guys can check it out and give us a follow. This week, we have a show on Friday. Next week is the week that we have some special Patreon stuff that we're doing and some stuff. I have some announcements, but I can't make them here.
Okay.
So I know, bummer.
Keep it tuned to your Twitter, or the What's Good Twitter.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, it's been our pleasure to serve you. The groan from Kevin, who didn't get the lights in time.